This might be a good time to ask Larry Kudlow for multiple stimulus checks, because he has no idea if we're on planet Earth or on Battlestar Galactica. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoon's LALATE. Hope you're good and safe and keeping track of numbers. Unlike Larry Kudlow, it's 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. This is Afternoon's LALATE that always starts with a check, which I'm beginning to right now. And then at 4 o'clock is hazard pay, which you're all entitled to if you listened to Larry Kudlow earlier today. 4:30 is FPUC, which is going to be even more hilarious. And then at 5 o'clock is rent assistance, which apparently you're supposed to go to Ben Carson for. Let me get right to the check. Larry Kudlow made a mess of the second stimulus package on This Morning with CNN with Dana Bash when asked everything about stimulus checks, stimulus packages, and it followed no less than 24 hours earlier when the president assured people in a press conference at his golf course that he wanted to ensure the relief gets to American citizens quickly and fast. Let me get right to the details. A lot of people are asking me why were the 4 executive orders issued on Friday not including a second stimulus check? Well, that's a great question. Ultimately, the constitutionality of those stimulus packages of the executive orders will be decided Monday. Yes, literally Monday or Tuesday. The president issued a series of executive orders on Friday that were unconstitutional that included the sending out of money to citizens. And so if he had included a second stimulus check for you, it would have also been challenged this coming week. Whether it was an intentional decision by the president not to put your stimulus checks into federal court, which is where they're going to go, where they would go, or just leave them on the side, it's a good thing. And let me tell you right now. Both parties have agreed to a second stimulus check, and minutes ago in a comment obtained by LALATE Nancy Pelosi confirms, and this is really great news, that she's going back to the negotiating table on Monday. Yes. So Nancy and Steve, and hopefully not Mark and Chuck, are going back to negotiations on Monday. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. They're going in there. And Nancy is doing actually what I've actually urged her to do in these videos. She's dropping her number. She's pulling out something. She says she's coming down $1 trillion. More about her comment in a minute. That is great news because ultimately the parties agreed upon a second stimulus check. So let me cut right to the chase. How soon could you get your second stimulus check? Why is the digression, the horror, the confusion of Friday to Sunday really not much of anything if these people get back in the room and get it done on Monday? Let me tell you right now. The second stimulus check delivery time is so critical for viewers of this channel who need the money right now. And if you take Steve Mnuchin's representations truthfully, which I do believe them in this regard, once the bill is passed, the second stimulus package is passed, the Treasury can send out your second stimulus check to you within 7 days of the bill becoming law. And that would only take about 2 or 3 more days of electronic delivery routing time. So you could get literally the check within 10 days electronically. This is if you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or railroad benefits and have electronic delivery already set up for your monthly benefits, or if you have any connection with the IRS for your annual tax returns that you have set up electronic delivery. This is really great news. Nancy confirmed minutes ago that she's going back to the negotiating table. When asked about the situation with Donald Trump, she first said that the bills were unconstitutional. I'll discuss that shortly. But then when asked by Dana Bash on CNN Sunday whether she will continue negotiating with Steve Mnuchin, she said, "We will have to. We have to, and that's why we're willing to say we'll come down $1 trillion. Now, the great news about her remark is, 1, that she's going to get the deal done. 2, the $1 trillion that's going to be removed is not your stimulus check. God, this is really also really great news. It's not your stimulus check. It's that ridiculous thing that I've been detailing since Friday. It's that bailout to the states. Yes. The bailout to the states is what caused your stimulus check to not go to a vote by members of the Senate on Friday. But here's what's also really great news. If you think about the timeline, I'm going to slow it down. Had these parties actually reached an agreement last Friday, which was the last business day — they don't work on the weekend because they're lazy — had they had done it on Friday, they would have set it up for a Senate vote this coming Monday. Guess what? If Nancy and Steve get an agreement on Monday, it could go right into a Senate vote on Monday and become law by Wednesday. Now, ultimately, what I'm going to say to you right now is I don't think that it's going to move that fast, but I do think it's going to move swiftly. A lot of people have said, I've given up hope. I'm not going to worry about the stimulus check anymore. I'm not going to think about it until it receives it. What I want to tell you is the following, that the actions of the president on Friday are great news, because ultimately the executive orders are going to be challenged in federal court. They're going to be invalidated on Monday or Tuesday by an emergency injunction that's going to be brought, and that's going to get Nancy and Steve back to the negotiating table. You're entitled to a $1,200 second stimulus check, and the parties have agreed upon it. This is also really great news. The parties agreed that a $1,200 second stimulus check would be routed to Americans whether or not you are an adult, a single individual, a dependent, an adult dependent, or a minor dependent. There certainly is that realm of confusion of two situations we still don't know. One, the Republicans initially proposed that dependents would get $500, not $1,200. It looks likely that they agreed to $1,200. Second, there's always that question about child support. People ask me that every single day. And the Democrats' proposal was not to take out for child support in the second stimulus check. It's likely that is also embedded. So the really great news is that these two people, as I reported to you over 2 weeks ago, have reached an agreement for your check, but your check has been held up because it's in a package that has a lot of stuff that was held up because of one big thing: a bailout to states. So Nancy was asked what does she think's going to happen tomorrow, and viewers have asked me that as well. Someone asked me, is this going to just drag out in the courts for years? No, it's going to drag out in the courts for hours and be done with. Very simply, the president's executive order being issued on Saturday was a very good thing because it speeds up the process. He said before issuing the executive orders, he said on Friday, that he expected to be sued. Well, Nancy and Chuck confirmed on Friday he's going to get sued, and minutes ago Nancy and Chuck confirmed they're suing, that not they're suing, but the president will be sued. Nancy Pelosi was asked by Dana Bash, what do you think is going to happen? And she says, well, these matters are simply outrageously unconstitutional. And she says, and Chuck Schumer said the same thing, I'll leave it up to the attorneys. It doesn't do the job. It's not going to the effect in most places for weeks and months because there's so much craziness in there. It is crazy. Everything is left out. Our assistance to schools is left out, feeding the hungry, people who need to be evicted. The president's moratorium just did a study and look at the moratorium. So go ahead, something's wrong. More about that later today. When asked what she thinks is going to happen, Nancy Pelosi says it's outrageously unconstitutional, and that she expects it to go to federal court. Now, let me explain to you how quickly this will happen, and no one really explains this as slowly and detailed as I do. What's going to happen Monday morning is you're going to see across broadcast news that the president and the White House has been sued over the executive orders. This is a really good thing, and they're going to ask for an emergency temporary injunction to enjoin the president from enforcing these executive orders. This is also a really good thing. The reason why it's a really good thing is it gets Steve and Nancy back in that negotiating room, even though she says she's already going to do it. But it gets them back in the room, and it kicks someone else out of the room. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the male Teresa Green Eyes, the guy who kicks furniture because he doesn't get his way, Mark Meadows. He, on Friday, kicked furniture because he says, you know what, you don't do my way, I'm going to get executive orders. Well, you're not going to get executive orders because they're unconstitutional. So once he understands the reality of that situation, there's that half of the good news. The other half of the good news is when Nancy Pelosi realizes her bailout to states, which she appears to now suggest she understands, which is also really good news. She's coming down $1 trillion. Guess where that $1 trillion is coming from? Then we have progress on the check. Boy, you know, there's more chess moves in this thing than than a final rose elimination on The Bachelor. This is really, and I know some of you are saying, just give me the damn check. I'll wait till I see the check. I'll wait till I see the check. It's becoming more dramatic than a Falcon Crest episode. It really is, and we really don't deserve to go through this. But there's a couple of things I want to answer because the viewers are asking me. One viewer said, this was all because the president doesn't want to give stimulus checks to people on SSDI or SSI, Social Security benefits. No, absolutely not. The inability of this group to send out a stimulus check has nothing to do with one particular group. Second, someone said that you can't believe anyone in this group because they've never held up to what they've said about the second stimulus check in the weeks before, and they quote the president saying he was going to give you more generous amount than $1,200, and they have the Democrats who said they're going to give you multiple checks of $2,000 for 6 months, and so people have a lot of disbelief. What I want you to understand, and I'm here with you as well, is that these people have now agreed to a stimulus check. That they have put that craziness aside, or the money you were entitled to, whatever you call it, and now they say we're getting you a stimulus check. The problem is that your stimulus check is strangled. It's strangled by a lot of other hot mess, and when they get through that hot mess, you're going to get your stimulus check. Now, the president says, and this is what he says, doesn't mean he's going to do it, but the president says that his desire is to get money in the hands of people as urgently as possible. Now, ultimately, that's really great news because it shows a commitment to you, the American people. He's not talking about businesses, he's talking about people. But when asked that question, he didn't answer Andy Cohen's question. No, it was not Andy Cohen asking the question, but his answer sounded like a bad reunion answer. He was asked, the question, Mr. President, though it's expected to be tied up in court, do you think the relief is going to be delayed or blocked indefinitely, says the reporter. He says, I don't think so. And then the question follow-up is this just political theater, Mr. President? I did not ask that question. Boy, that's shade. I think it's going to be going rapidly through the courts. But are you giving people false hope is the next question. The answer was, no, this will go very, very, if we get sued, maybe we get sued. If we get sued, it's someone who doesn't want people to get money. Okay, it's not going to be a very popular thing. Wow, does this sound familiar? I told you yesterday that ultimately some people and viewers of this channel think that this was a basic spin the blame political move to say, go ahead and sue me, Democrats, in court, because I'm going to say that you don't want to give money to the American people. But you're signing the executive order today, and Americans want to know when they see this relief, what date will they see it, said the reporter. Very soon. They're going to see it very soon. Look, and then the question, the reporter interrupts him and says, very soon. And he says, there it is, right there. I'm not laughing at him, but I'm laughing at what viewers always say. Tell me, I'll believe it when it's in my bank account. What he says is there, right there. It's right there. Well, it's not in the golf course or where the interview is held. It's not in someone's pocket. It's not in Larry Kudlow's. I mean, am I the only one that thinks that the Long Island medium should do the negotiations for the second stimulus check? Because everyone is brain dead, and she has a really good way of communicating with the dead people. I just bring Teresa in and communicate with the dead people, and the Long Island medium will get us our stimulus checks. Maybe she'll get us multiple stimulus checks. The president said, have you ever heard... I can't say this with a straight face. Then the president was asked about how soon stimulus would get in the hands of American people. And the president said, have you ever heard of the word obstruction? And the reporter says, yes, you were investigated for it. Well, Nancy Pelosi says that ultimately this is going to ramp up very quickly, and that's what's really the great news. Whether or not you don't like the dramatics of the moment, the dramatics are the manifestation of what's going on. People are wondering when I'm going to see my second stimulus check. And what I want to tell you right now is that if you have a bill that's due Monday, or if you have a bill that's due Tuesday or Wednesday, don't think that there's going to be a stimulus check in your bank account this next 5 days to pay that bill. It absolutely is not. I told you last week it was not. I told you before the negotiations broke down that the second stimulus check can't get routed to you fast enough. In fact, I told you over 5 weeks ago that these people would had a vacation scheduled for August 8th, and that if they got the deal done, the stimulus checks could at that time come to you in late August. Ironically, we're still on the path of timeline to get you checks in August if these income poops get back in the room on Monday. So what's important for you to understand is no one ever said that a stimulus check would land in your bank account the first week of August or July. It has always been mid-August to late August. And the hope and the great news is that it still can meet that timeline. But if you have bills due this week, do the next 5 days. If you have difficulty paying for money for your children or putting food on the table, don't wait around thinking that these buffoons are going to get you a stimulus check today, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It's not happening. It won't happen that fast. But the good news is you're going to get a stimulus check. You know, when I did my very first video, a personal message, 16 minutes of this video. When I did my very first video on this channel about EIDL grants, which was free money, it was money in people's pockets, and I stood in front of a deserted beach because there was a lockdown here in Los Angeles, I said, with very spiky hair and too much finger pointing, I said, you're going to get your grant. You're going to get your grant. It's going to take some time. You're going to get your grant money. I'm going to say that now for the stimulus check. You're going to get your stimulus check. It will take some time, but you're going to get your stimulus check. You're going to get it whether you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, or Veterans benefits. Stay with me because it's going to come to you. But if you need to pay a bill in the next few days, don't think that that bill is going to get paid by this check because it's not landing there in the next few days. But you're going to get the check. Well, the facts are that whether it's legal or not, it takes time to figure out. And my associates' remarks who have been sassy are that it's unconstitutional slop, said Nancy Pelosi, of what happened on Saturday with the executive orders of Donald Trump. Right now, we want to address the needs of the American people. As my constitutional advisors tell me, they're absolutely, absurdly unconstitutional. The great news is you're going to get a second stimulus check. You're going to get a second stimulus check. These parties confirmed they have reached an agreement on your second stimulus check. They confirmed that delivery of your second stimulus check will be routed to you quickly and urgently, especially if you have set up electronically. You followed my advice about non-filer filing. If you have a child and you're on benefits, it will come to you rapidly. And based upon the current timelines, if a negotiation reaches an agreement in the next 5 days, this coming week, you get your check in August. Yeah, it's good news. As always, can you go to the front of this channel and hit that subscribe and alert button? Last Monday, this channel was at 130,000 subscribers. And I asked to see, hey, maybe we could make it to 150 in 7 days. That was my request. We made it to 150 in like 4 days. Not 7 days. So what I asked now is our new goal, as we're about to break about 160 maybe by the end of the day, is let's see if we can reach 200,000 subscribers in the next 2 weeks. So let's put a goal between now and 2 weeks from now. Let's see if we can reach 200,000 subscribers. Hit that alert button on the front of this channel, so like a little bell, and the subscriber button, so you can alert every time something happens, because there's going to be something that happens, whether it's an injunction filed or a court order that invalidates the executive orders. I will be updating you. I see your comments. They're great. As always, stay informed, stay educated, stay motivated. Coming up next on LALATE is hazard pay, which we're all now entitled to from listening to Larry Kudlow talk, and then FPUA and rent assistance. Have a great afternoon.